Now at 6, new details in the St. Helens sex abuse scandal.
It's embarrassing for me to be here and knowing that's my school, what my school is for in my senior year.
The latest from the St. Helens School District, where problems are now stretching to an additional high school. Also, more homeless people are dying on Portland's streets, the dangerous drug being blamed. Plus,
we know rate increases are really hard.
Yet another rate increase, with people in Oregon expected to once again pay more for electricity. We begin with breaking news tonight. The Clackamas County Sheriff's Office is investigating a shooting that happened in the Clackamas Town Center parking lot. We just learned one person was hurt, but deputies say there is no threat to the public. John Adams joins us now live in the area with an update from the Sheriff's Office. John, what can you tell us?
Well, Christine, deputies are still on scene here investigating after that possible shooting took place earlier this afternoon. I'm going to take a step out of the way so you can see the scene. Right now, you can still see some police lights in the background right in front of the Barnes & Noble bookstore here at Clackamas Town Center. Deputies responded shortly before 3 p.m. after receiving reports of a shooting. We know one person has been detained and another person has been transported to the hospital, but no word on the extent of their injuries or how many shots were fired. The sheriff's office says the incident happened in the parking lot and not inside the mall itself. Now, earlier, we identified a police perimeter around sections of the parking lot just outside of the Barnes & Noble store near JCPenney's. Now, police appear to be investigating in that area and say vehicles that are parked within that perimeter will probably be there for a while. Here's what we heard from a sheriff's office spokesperson about 1 hour ago.
But I can tell you that when deputies arrived, right, it was a frantic scene. Deputies were able to thankfully get here very quickly, find out where that scene was, and then start to work that scene.
And the sheriff's office says deputies will be remaining here on scene for a for a while to continue to investigate the aftermath of what took place here. But the mall is currently open at this time, and they say there is no ongoing threat to the public. Christine?
Yeah, still must have been a scary situation for a lot of shoppers there at that mall. Thank you, John. In tonight's other headlines, according to a new report, last year was the deadliest year on record for people living on the streets in Multnomah County. It shows 456 people experiencing homelessness died. That's up from 315 the year before. More than half of the deaths were overdoses from fentanyl, meth, or a combination of the two drugs as the fentanyl epidemic reached its peak. The death rate for people on the street has risen 37% each year since 2019.
We recognize that the best way to honor the 456 lives we lost in 2023 is to continue our commitment to respond to this crisis with the extreme urgency that's needed.
County officials say this year they've seen a lower number of fentanyl-related overdose deaths. They say right now it's critical, though, to keep helping people get off drugs and into shelter and housing. Come January, PGE customers will be forking out more on their power bill. Oregon regulators approved a 5.5% hike for residential PGE customers today. They also approved a rate hike for Pacific Power customers yesterday. A lot of people have noticed surging power costs year after year. Since 2021, residential rates for PGE and Pacific Power customers have increased by 49% and 45%. A commissioner with the Oregon Public Utility Commission says these rate increases will prevent larger ones in the future.
We spent just an enormous amount of time digging into the details and understanding where reliability and safety were at risk and where something could be cut.
The Utility Commission roughly halved PGE and Pacific Power's rate hike requests. Regulators say the increases are needed to make sure utilities are safe, reliable, and able to keep up with both power costs and wildfire threats. The Biden administration announced today it's giving ODOT more than $30 million to build a wildlife crossing over I-5. The overpass will be where I-5 runs near the Cascade-Siskiyou National Monument, which is close to the Oregon-California border. According to the Department of Transportation, more than 1 million drivers hit animals each year nationally, costing Americans roughly $10 billion every year. Celine?
Christine, it's looking really nice out there. We've had a great Friday, but as we get into the weekend, the first day of winter, it's going to change. But right now, it looks great out there, sitting at 51 degrees, looking at the Pioneer Park building, just absolutely gorgeous right now. Over the course of the day and even right now, temperatures feeling pretty good. We're looking at 46 degrees in Aurora, 49 in Vancouver. Those temperatures have been very mild over the last few days along the coast, seeing 50s at the moment. And so here's where we're going. Like I said, tomorrow is the first day of winter. We have a series of storms headed our way. So looks like by early morning, we're seeing the rain hit Portland, hitting the coastal areas, and we're going to continue to see that as we get into the rest of our weekend.
Okay, thank you so much, Celine. We are learning more about a sex abuse investigation in the St. Helens School District, where 10 employees are now on leave. 5 are teachers. Thomas Schultz joins us now from St. Helens High School. So Thomas, what did district officials tell you about the investigation today?
Well, Christine, there's staff members on leave at elementary, middle, and 2 high schools in the St. Helens School District. 3 people have been criminally charged so far, and police say that a 4th is being criminally investigated. Friday marked another turn in the St. Helens School District sex abuse scandal. Problems now stretch to an additional high school, where a criminal investigation is underway against a Plymouth High teacher. It's unclear what the details of the investigation are.
Until those investigations are completed, we're in a little bit of a holding pattern at this time.
In a Friday update, school officials released the names of 10 staff members on paid administrative leave. All are being investigated as part of the sex abuse scandal. Many worked at St. Helens High.
It's embarrassing for me to be here and knowing that's my school, what my school is for in my senior year.
Staff on leave include educators at a middle and elementary school. KGW is not naming those who have yet to be charged with a crime.
Of course, the investigations are ongoing.
Those students aren't surprised who is on leave.
I'm not very shocked.
Half the people that we didn't know were on there, I feel like I kind of already knew were on there, because there's already been some stories about that and stuff that students talk about.
Investigations began after former teacher Mark Collins and current educator Eric Stearns were arrested on several charges of sex abuse in November. Former St. Helens High School principal Katie Wagner also faces charges for criminal mistreatment and official misconduct. The scandal led to mass protests from students last month. St. Helens named Charlotte Ellis acting principal at St. Helens High, replacing Wagner. The district also has a new acting superintendent. Already, students have noticed changes among staff.
They're being more transparent.
The new admins are actually doing their job right.
We've seen more communication from the principals, the staff.
And some kids are cautiously optimistic. The worst is behind them.
Hopefully it's final. I mean, you can never tell who's who.
So there's a little bit of hope on the horizon potentially here in St. Helens, and the school district is also holding listening sessions with families, all in an effort to regain trust. At the same time, there's an internal investigation ongoing. District officials hope and believe that will be wrapped up in late January. Christine?
More to come. Thomas Schultz with us. Thank you for that update, Thomas. A Gresham mom is grappling with the loss of her daughter, killed after an argument over loud music. Here's Devin Haskins with the story.
She wants people to remember her daughter as kind and loving. Doesn't understand how a request to turn down music ended in the shooting death of her daughter.
Susie was just a good person.
Rhonda Henson says her daughter, Susan Henson, was not afraid to stand up to others.
She was just brave. She wanted to do right.
On December 10th, just before 3 in the morning, a car had pulled into the parking spot outside Susan's first floor bedroom window, blaring loud music. Henson went outside to talk to the driver, 26-year-old Keon Kellum.
She asked him to turn it down.
Court documents say Kellum and his girlfriend started arguing and fighting with Henson and her boyfriend. Henson's boyfriend sprayed pepper spray towards Kellum, And that's when police say Kellum pulled out a gun and shot Henson. Police say Kellum told them he did it because he was afraid the two were going to, quote, pummel him.
He pulled the gun and started shooting. He shot Susie in the back of the head.
Kellum was later arrested and charged with attempted murder. Susan was rushed to the hospital but died a few days later. Susan's mom is now angry and in disbelief about what happened.
Shooting her was completely senseless. I mean, I can understand arguing or yelling or something like that, but to shoot somebody just because you're told to turn down your music, that's just unbelievable.
She'll remember her daughter as a kind person, always giving to others, something that will continue even after her death.
They donated her heart and her lungs and her liver, so she saved 3 people's lives.
We're still waiting to learn more about what upgraded charges Kellum could face now that Susan has died. He's scheduled to be back in court next month. I'm Devin Haskins, KGW News.